Welcome Divya Dutta to the show to talk about your book, the second book that you've written, The Stars in My Sky. So before we begin, let me tell you, the first book that she's written on is a homage to her mother. It's a very poignant book, and this is the second book, The Stars in My Sky, which is new and which talks about her journey in Bollywood and with the stars and directors that she's worked in. So to begin with, we all know that she's worked in Veer Zara with Shah Rukh Khan, and since Shah Rukh Khan is trending with Pathan, let me ask her, tell us something about your work with Shah Rukh Khan and about him as an actor and as a person.
First of all, a very good evening, everyone. It's such a delight to meet such a beautiful audience in the Mathrubhumi Festival of Letters. And what better venue than under a tree? I think for me, it's very, what do you say? I would romanticize it. Under a tree, you talk poetry, you talk letters, you talk words. And I'm so glad you're moderating it for me. These two books have been very special, of course. I think they started a new journey for me as an author. When I did my first book, Me and Ma, I just thought it's like a catharsis for me. I wanted to celebrate a beautiful mother, a beautiful parent. And the connect I think I got with my readers through that was like really amazing. I mean, I've had these young girls like these come up at the airport and just hug me tight. I thought it's for one of my roles probably or something. They said, no, thanks to you, you know, I always, whenever my mother calls, I just snap and say, Mom, call later, I'm busy. And she said, after I read your book, I just went and told her, Mom, I'm coming to give you a tight hug. And my mother was very surprised. So I thought, what a beautiful connect the power of writing has. And I'm glad my readers asked me to write again, and hence happened the second book, The Stars in My Sky, a subject I'm so passionate about, because I come from a family of doctors, but ever since I was 4, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to belong to the world of Amitabh Bachchan, because I had seen his films. I wanted to dance like him. I used to tear my mother's saris and dupattas and dance on his song. I used to invite my neighborhood children.
Which song did you dance to the most?
Khai ke pan banaras wala. I ruined my mother's lipsticks because I was not allowed to have pan, of course. So that lipstick, that color did it for me. That, you know, it's red chewing the pan color. And the neighborhood kids were invited with like a bribery of a rasgulla and samosa. And I would say, okay, if you really clap hard, then I'm going to give you Ruh Afza too. So I think I liked that attention, that being on stage, that performing. I wanted to belong to that world where this tall, amazing guy was performing and saying, Khai ke pan banaras wala. I was like, I want to be there. And I didn't know how, because I was in a remote village in Punjab and family was all doctors. But always I think I daydreamt that I got the Best Actor award. I was opposite Shah Rukh. I was opposite this one and that one. And I think somewhere when you really ask something, the universe conspires in its own beautiful ways, but it does. And talking about Shah Rukh, one of my chapters in this book, so this book I must tell you a little about, is my journey through the movies, all the experiences I had with each actor or director that I worked with, and my takeaways from them, something about them that I learned, something that made me smile. Knowingly or unknowingly, I think I had a beautiful bond with all of them. So this book comprises of chapters of Amitabh Bachchan, Shabana Azmi, Gulzar Saab, Javed Saab, Shah Rukh Khan, Salman, Juhi, all my directors, Yash Chopra, Rakesh Mehra, Rituparna Ghosh, all of them. So yeah, it's one of these chapters that Saraswati is asking me is Shah Rukh Khan. So Shah Rukh, I think we all had a huge craze in our college days. There was this show that he was doing 4G, and there used to be a rumor.
That was his first television show.
And that time there was this rumor that happened that he was called Abhi. So it's Abhi aa raha hai college mein. So all the girls bunked their classes. We were all out. So this thing, when I went to the movies, I was like, I have to work with this dimpled guy. And there's this thing I've written here where I bumped into him for the first time. There was a film that was featuring, Bazigar was being made, I think, that time. And I had taken my pictures in a file. all my glamorous pictures and everything in a file. And I was running up, he was coming down, and both of us like clashed in the thar.
How filmy, huh?
Very filmy, cliche. But I wish the love story continued. It ended there only. He just said, "I'm so sorry, Divya." I said, "How does he know my name?" But I think he had seen my name in the shortlisted girls. And I, from that day, realized that this guy is a very sensitive guy. Observes beautifully, sharp and sensitive. So when I did Veer Zara, I was fairly new. And in a very unconventional way, I was actually working with him. So I was doing this scene where I'm petite. So there was another actor who was big, and she covered me. And Shah Rukh was right here. And before we started the shot, I was like, how do I tell them that I'm covered and I can't see the camera? So I was sulking away. So Shah Rukh, just before the shot, says, ma'am, could you just move aside? Divya's covered. So, is there a national anthem going on?
Yeah. I think the governor has come.
Ah, okay. So, so I just thought, where was I?
You were talking about how Shah Rukh knew your name.
Yeah,
and said,
no,
ma'am, can you move over? You're covering Divya.
So he said, could you just move over? And when the shot was done, I was all smiles. And he just comes to me and he says, I won't be everywhere to look over you, so just take care of yourself, okay? I think for a newcomer, it matters so much that somebody just looked over you. Somebody was not just only thinking about his shot. We as actors are called very narcissist, full of ourselves, but that's not so. There are people who are so human, who think about the entire picture rather than just themselves. And that's exactly what my book says. And I think Shah Rukh, for me, has been one of my most charming and helpful co-actors that I've worked with.
What do you have to say about the Pathan controversy? In that case, he was mired in unnecessarily, so if I might say so.
Do I need to say something? The numbers are saying it themselves, isn't it? But yes, I was there to whistle. Ardent Shah Rukh fan, and I think movies need to run, whichever language that is. We work very hard on it, and Shah Rukh has made a four-year long comeback, and how I think that's amazing. I'm very proud of him.
Thank you. Your first book was had a foreword written by Shabana Azmi,
Yes.
and it was released by Amitabh Bachchan. Your second book has a foreword written by Amitabh Bachchan, and it was released by Shabana Azmi. So, can you tell us something about your relationship with Shabana Azmi and then with the great AB?
Well, I think as a child, when I was growing up, everyone asks you, who's your favorite actor? So I think for me, it was Mr. Bachchan and Shabana Azmi always. With Shabana ji, it was like how she creates a balance between doing an Amar Akbar Anthony on one side and doing an Ankur on the other, doing a Masoom, doing a Par, and then doing Parvarish. It was like she does everything. And I loved that about her. So not knowingly, but I think I ended up doing a lot of my career trajectory is that. Doing everything and enjoying doing everything. With her, she played my mother in a film called Umrao Jan. And it was J.P. Dutta's film, and that's the first time I had met her, and I was very nervous just looking at her. I was supposed to be dancing in front of her, and I was like, let's do 50 rehearsals, but I need to be absolutely perfect when I dance in front of her. And she had this gaze which was just right there, stuck on to me, and I was like, I was telling my mother, I said, Mom, you also go from the set, just everyone go, because I'm just getting very nervous. And she, I think, observed that, and she was very amused. And then after that, she called me for her famous Holi parties. And that's where she introduced me to Javed Saab, and she said she is a terrific actor. I said, when did she never told me that, but it felt nice. And from then on, I think we had a very beautiful bond. After my mother, I always loved her connect with her mother. She had an amazing connect with Shaukat Appa. And I just requested her. I said, I can't think of anyone else to write the foreword for what I have written straight from my heart for my mom. She read the book and she said, I'm writing it. And she did. So now I think I've done Sheer Korma with her. I did Chalk and Duster with her. The journey has been beautiful. The bond has gotten stronger. And I feel lucky that people I have grown up watching, now they are a strong bond with me. They have a special place for me in their hearts, and ditto. And Mr. Bachchan, of course, was a very interesting story. When I had finished the book, my first book, And mothers are very special. I wanted to celebrate her like how I wanted to do the best that I could do. And so Shabana ji's forward was already there. I said, who should I call for the launching of the book? I asked my brother, who's a doctor, he's a hypnotherapist. And hey, hi everyone, I didn't see you guys here. Why don't you just come here? Better. I told him, I said, who should I call? He said, who do you want to call? I said, if I had my way, it would only be Mr. Bachchan. He said, why don't you just message him? I said, no, no, no. What if he says no? It will be a scar. It will be a scar for life. So he said, at least you would have tried. And I sent a very sweet note to him. This is my first book on my mother, and I would love for you to launch it for me. Full day I was looking at my mobile. Jawab aaya, answer, no answer. And I was nervous. I was like, oh God, how does it feel to have a no from Mr. Bachchan? And in the evening, I get a message saying where and what time. So I'll be there. He was so generous. It was a 7:30 event. He was there at 7:20 when I was nicely clicking my pictures. And there I see a tall, handsome man standing there. I was like, who's here? Mr. Bachchan has come. 7:20 he was there. He says, what do you want me to do? I said, sir, we'll launch the book. And it was amazing. It was like a dream story where whatever you wish, I think that's mother's blessings always, that whatever you wish, it's tathastu.
You've had a very special relationship with your mother, because most of the books that you read about film stars, there's a lot of opposition from parents and from families. In your case, when you wanted to become a film star, there was opposition from your uncle and nani and so on. But your mother was your staunchest supporter. In fact, she came to Bombay to pep you up. On the phone, she spoke to you. Where did she get that courage to garner a single mother? Because your father had passed away very early when you were kids. Where do you think she got that courage from? And I think she has passed on that strength to you. What do you think about when you look back on that period when she was there as your spine to back you up through thick and thin?
She's still my spine. It's just that she's not physically there, but I think I got her here in my heart. Well, it's locked up and she can't go anywhere from here. But yes, she was a single mother, and I think life teaches gives you so many experiences that you have no choice but to be strong. And I only realize that now when I look back. Oh my God! I mean, we lived in Punjab during the terrorism days. And insurgence was happening, and she was a medical doctor, she was a government officer. So I've seen lots of experiences here, there, everywhere. I was like, oh my God, does she not get totally inundated by all this? And she was such a protective mom, and yet so much fun. What I loved about her was, it was never like a generation ki she's my mother. She was always my best friend. I would make blunders, I would make mistakes, and she was the first one to know about them, and I wouldn't be judged. And I think I appreciate so much about that. And I remember I had signed up secretively for this start. This was a talent hunt, and I signed it up. And I asked my brother, who was all of 10, I think. I said, please click my pictures. Glamorous pictures like this and like this, whatever. We clicked pictures. Very naive. We were both of us very naive. But yes, all we knew, our intent was very clear, that I wanted to be an actor. Suddenly there came a letter saying, you've been selected. Now I had to face my mother. From Stardust. And I had to now tell my mother. And both us kids, I mean, I was 18 and he was like 12, whatever. So both of us are standing in front of her, and she says, what is this? So I said, Mom, I have been called for this. And she says, but it's your exams happening, your second year exams. I said, I'll complete my studies, I promise you. I'll be a graduate. And then I will see if I can further study. She said, is it really something you want to do? I said, and that moment I realized there's nothing more I want to do than be an actor. And she looked at me and she said, okay, if this is what you want, I'll stand by you. But remember, if you ever want to come back, I'm there. So that unconditional support of a parent saying, I'm there, without any preconditions, means so much to a child that you would never let that parent down, ever, ever. I think I feel it myself. I hope I've made her proud. And
I'm sure you have done that, because in your movie Train to Pakistan, you've made a mention that Divya's mother is from undivided India. So she came to Delhi and I think to Punjab. I think she was from Karachi, right?
She was from Karachi.
Yes. So Divya depended on her mother to tell her stories about that journey, that horrendous journey when people had to travel from Pakistan overnight to India with almost nothing, just the clothes on their back. And she talks about it beautifully that when she was shooting for Veer Zara, she took her mother back to Karachi. Divya, why don't you tell how your mother felt seeing her old Haveli and the house and how you let her go alone? I think that's a beautiful chapter in your first book.
Thank you.
And a
Thank you.
wonderful gift for your mother in that way.
Well, I think after Veer Zara, I became very popular as this girl from Pakistan. And I was offered a show from there. And I said, where is the shoot? They said, Karachi. And my mother, I've heard always tell me stories about, she was just barely 4, but I think your most deepest memories that you will always remember are from the years of, I think, 3, 4 to about 9. If you look back, those are your cultivating days of your memories. That is where you actually have your foundations. So she said, there was my house there and this and that and everything. I said, Mama, years happened. Now where it'll be there, but let's go to Karachi. So she came with me to Karachi, and the people there were so lovely. They just said, Auntie Ji, where was your house? Do you remember? She just described. How would she remember addresses? She just described. They actually had people looking for a place like that. They actually took her there, and she actually remembered and reminisced that this was it. And I can't tell you the delight I felt. It felt like a role reversal, like I became her mother and she became my child, and I was taking her around the bylanes of memories. It was beautiful, and I'm still feeling really lovely just talking about it.
Yeah, I can imagine so. But when you come to Bollywood, we always hear about stories. Normally, even films tend to show how shallow relationships are in Bollywood. But here you've written a book, an entire book, and each chapter is dedicated to a film star, wherein you talk about, the greats that you worked with, the friendships that you found, greats like Gulzar or people like Sonu Nigam and so on and so forth. What would you say, are the stories about Bollywood? Most of them at least show it as a very shallow place where people are generally very selfish and matlabi and so on. What is your take on it as an insider?
See, whenever
An honest one.
Very honest. I can't be anything but honest. I think wherever there is business, there will be an exchange of demand and supply, and that I think is very fair. If you're talking, okay, I need that person, you will be nice to that person. Once it's done, then you get busy doing other things. But not necessarily it means you're shallow. It just means that you're running around making a living out of a profession that's not the easiest ever. It isn't easy. Every day you make a film and then you don't think, Arey, I've arrived. No, you haven't. You have to just keep doing it. After Veer Zara, I was flooded with offers. Like, do this, same role. I said, I don't want to do it. I declined at least 25 films. And my mother thought I've lost the plot. And then I got Dilli Che with Rakesh Mehra, and he called me, and by then I was frustrated. I was like, why are you calling me for this role? Is it a Punjabi role? He said, no. I said, then I don't think I should be doing it. And he said, who are you to decide that? You come and meet me. So I went to meet him. So I think it's how you see it. Do you see the glass of water half full or half empty? You will see people who want business out of you. They think of you as a proposal. Fair enough. I don't think you should be judging them. And there are people in that entire crew who you will get close to, who you will have a bonding with, who will somewhere help you and just give you that moment to smile. I will never forget how, I don't know how many of you have seen Bagban, but that was one of my first films. And Bagban, I was a very nasty daughter-in-law, I hate to say that, and to none other than Mr. Bachchan. And I was, of course, dying to work with him, and that was my first film with him. And I used to go very excited every morning. It was like, good morning, sir. And suddenly it started gradually it started happening, that started working on me. That I'm nasty to my
father-in-law.
To Mr. Bachchan. To
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Bachchan. I'm not being nice to him. I didn't realize it, how psychologically it works on a newcomer. And one day I just burst out crying in my house, and my mother said, didn't you work well? I said, I think I gave a very good shot, but I'm not feeling good about it. And next day I went for the shoot, and I said a very sulked out good morning to Mr. Bachchan. I said, good morning, sir. And then he realized it and he just called me and said, come here. So I went. He said, stand here. So he was sitting and I was standing. So he's like, do you realize you're not being nice to me in this movie? So I was suddenly very defensive. I said, no, sir, but I'm just mouthing my dialogues. It's just a role. And he was quiet and he smiled. He said it without saying it, that it's just a role. But I think these beautiful people who've come in my life have taught me things very unassumingly, and I have caught on to them and put them in my heart. But look at a mega star. He didn't need to observe a newcomer. He didn't need to be nice to me, but he did. And for me, Mr. Bachchan is who he is, not just because he's a mega star, but because the person that he is. And these are the people you need to pick up in your life and probably write a gratitude note to them and say thank you for happening for just those few days. But yes, that's my takeaway for life.
Divya, you have got a major announcement to make because you're working in a Malayalam film. Why don't you do that yourself and tell them which film you're working in? She's working in a very important Malayalam film soon. So why don't you tell them yourself?
It's so amazing. I'm doing these very new things now. It's like my life is going ulta. I'm doing Resul Pukuti's debut film, Ota. And I should be shooting for it in about 3-4 days' time. I'm very excited about it. And I think I've had some very beautiful connections with Kerala. I shot Irfan's film His over here. In Kovalam we shot.
That's with Mallika Sharawat incidentally.
Yes.
So,
but I was with Irfan. And what an experience that was. So I actually wanted to go to the same place, to the same hotel, and just relive the beautiful memories, but I didn't have the time today. But I think some very fond memories I have, and I hope I can rekindle those kind of memories when I do Ota with Resul.
so she's going to be in Kerala for some more time, and incidentally, his was all shot in Trivandrum by a Malayali called Govind Narayan, and and prior to that, you had also holidayed in Kerala with your mother, right? When you brought her down for a, where did you go to, and how was the holiday like, and what was it like then?
So my mother was a Wonder Woman. She had a stroke of paralysis, and anybody would have said, I'm going to rest. She said, I want to go to Kerala. So I said, okay, we'll go to Kerala. We'll take some spas and everything. And then she said, no, we'll go to Allapi. We'll go to the backwaters. I said, okay, fine. Until then was really nice. And then they said, we are going to take you in that little canoeing thingy into a village. So I and my brother could jump into it. There was no ladder or there's nothing. So I said, okay, Mom, we'll see you in a bit. She said, where are you going? I said, we are going, we'll come back in half an hour. She said, no, I'm coming with you. I said, like, how are you coming with us? She said, four people were there, the villagers. She said, you guys are strong? I said, yes. I'm jumping, you hold me. So they were like holding her. She jumped. And she went with us on that canoeing thingy, and we enjoyed the village. And I think I learned to live my life in spite of all the crisis. I think all of us have some problem or the other in our lives. It's not like a smooth sail. It is that. Kuch na kuch to everyone has. But to live with it, to enjoy it in spite of it, is something that I have learned from her. And Atta woman, absolutely.
Divya, you talked about being a very cruel, nasty screen daughter-in-law to Amitabh Bachchan, yet you never got married, although your nanny got you these perfect matches from the age of 19 onwards. Any particular reason that you didn't want, you haven't found your dream man yet?
One specific reason. Didn't get a dream man. Didn't find one. I made my mistakes. I have met some lovely people, but unfortunately it happens that that's not who you would probably want as a life partner, because life, you need, especially being an actor, has its pluses and minuses. You need somebody who's very secure. When you're a successful woman and there is a lot of fan following around you, you need a man who's very secure within himself. And of course, you need to have that chemistry as well. So I probably didn't find that combination ever together, but I think I'm very happy being single and
ready to mingle?
I was I'm open to mingling, not ready. I've always been ready. That's okay.
So tell me about Divya, about this book. Also talk about some of your favorite chapters. Like you've talked about acting with Shyam Benegal, right? He's one of the icons of parallel cinema in India. What was it like? What is very different, because you worked with Yash Chopra, who's one end of the spectrum, and Shyam Benegal, you could say, is another end of the spectrum. What was it like to act in their films? Did you have to change your style of acting, or what was it like?
I I think it's like I was very fortunate to have worked with these very extreme spectrums of directors. Yash Chopra, I think I always actually wanted to be his heroine. Matlab, I should be launched by him was my dream. That Yash Chopra, chiffon saris, the Alps, and a song for me, and opposite so and so. All that.
Opposite who?
Shah Rukh, obviously.
Okay.
But that I think that wish was so strong that when I was called for Veer Zara, and when they told me it is Shabbo's role, Zara's friend's role, my
Yes.
face just dropped. I was like, if I play Shabbo in a Yash Chopra film, I'm doomed. I'll be like the
Forever
industry's
the
next
friend.
best friend. Ye usko bulao. So Aditya Chopra, he was the writer of the film, he said, if it was any other role, I don't think we would have called you. And just remember, you will always be remembered for this film. The way he said it with such sincerity and genuineness, I had no reason to say no. And my mother had anyways told me that, is there a godfather for you? I said, no. She says, then you'll sit at home thinking you're a great actor. Nobody knows outside. So just go do a role so well that people write roles for you. And I think I took that advice, which worked so much for me that time. I think today's times, when you see OTTs happening, you see an actor do everything. There's not necessarily a lead role anymore. It used to be earlier heroine, villain, vamp, or a comedian,
Yes.
maybe these three categories.
Or the mother.
Or the mother or the sister. There's no beach ka thing ever. Now I've seen everyone exchanges their roles. Can I do that role that Divya is doing? Or can I do that role which is just very short, but I really like that role? So you're no more scared of being stamped by an image, which I think is amazing. But that time you were. But I had to take that chance. I added that X factor in doing Veer Zara. And when I got out in the interval, for the first time in my life, I was flooded by people. They were asking Yash Chopra, who's she? Who's she? Did you get her from Pakistan? And I knew in a very unassuming way. I became a star that night, and with Yash Chopra. So I think universe has its own way of just fulfilling your dreams, but it might not be in a way that you thought it would be. So that for me is the story of Yash Chopra. With Shyam Benegal, I think he would teach you things without you realizing it. I was all of 18, 19 when I was doing his film called Summer, and I only had one song to perform in his film. And we were shooting in a village in Madhya Pradesh, and he called me 7 days prior. I said, for a song, why is he calling me 7 days prior? He said, hear the song, Divya. So I heard the song, and he says, now go to, he told the production, take her to that local group of dancers over there. So I said, why is he sending me there? Where is the choreographer? Why am I not learning the dance steps? So I went there, I saw the steps and I saw the dancers, and I said, now, okay, I've seen. He says, have you seen it? I said, what is he doing? I mean, Shyam Benegal, but what is he doing? So he tells me, now choreograph the song. You've seen the dancers dance. You have heard the song. Choreograph it tomorrow. I said, who, me choreographed the song? He says, yes. Oh my God, that kind of sense of responsibility given to a 19-year-old by Shyam Benegal was like something huge. Everyone was shocked when he said that to me. I shut myself in a room. I had that sense of responsibility that's been given to me by Shyam Babu. And I prepared the steps and everything. And then he says, now go teach those dancers what you've choreographed. The 4th day was that. 2 days we did that. The 6th day, he called me. And he says, okay, we are going to put 6 cameras for you. You perform 1 go. I was like, what, sir? What if he goof up? He says, that's okay. Just do it. The entire unit, it was a night shoot. It was a chutti for everyone else, but they chose to come and be with me. The entire crew was there, full of all the villagers, everyone looking at us performing. And we performed. And it was a high that I can't even explain to you, that you've been given a responsibility and you've performed, and how, and everyone cheered, stood up, applauded, just lifted me up and just threw me up and down, and yeah, you've done it. And then I just looked behind at Sham Babu. He was busy putting another shot. He was totally unaffected by what had happened. I'm sure somewhere he realized he'd given a little girl so much confidence for life to take on any challenge that came my way. And I think that was Sham Benego.
Yeah, that's truly. I think he has made
That's
a lot
all in
of
that book, actually, all these chapters.
Yes.
Yes.
And you've also, your Hindi translation of your first book is
My
out,
first
right?
book,
Isn't
yes,
it?
yes.
That's Me and Ma.
Me and Ma is
What's
now also Me or Ma, this one.
Me or Ma. Okay.
Yes.
Who has published it?
It's Penguin.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. And while talking about books and stars, what do you have to say about Bollywood now? Because people had almost written off Bollywood because of the string of flops, the big flops that had happened during the last couple of months till Pathan happened. What is your take on it? What do you have to say about that feeling? That because what is coming from Bollywood was not very encouraging. People were saying that's going to a slump. None of the movies, the big ones, had worked. People were losing money. That's when Pathan really came and, kind of changed everyone's mood. What would you like to say about that?
Well, I just want to say, in businesses, there's always a phase that comes by. We have come through a very unrealistic time in the pandemic, where I think the OTTs have been our go-to things, always. I mean, I think that was our saving factor, where you could just watch a show and just feel good. Otherwise, you were like stuck in the house.
Yes.
And so now I think we've gotten so used to the OTTs that you only go to the theatre when it is something worth it. Or you will say it'll come on OTT anyways after a month. So one is that psyche. Two, of course, there mustn't have been very great films, but we have had Bhool Bhulaiya coming in, we've had Brahmastra coming in, Drishyam 2 now came in, which did very well, and of course Pathan has broken all the records, and of course there have been the South Indian films that have done so well. So I think maybe we need to tweak, we need to see what is really doing well. You need to make your product so good that people feel they can decondition themselves out of their homes and come to the theatre and have that experience again.
How do you think OTT has played a role in this? Because OTT really was become a major player in films now. A lot of movies that would never see the light of day got released on OTT, right? Small films that went on to do very well. And also projects that were made only for OTT. We saw a lot of very good projects coming up and people becoming stars overnight only because of OTT. What do you think about that?
I think it's a very good change. But yes, I think we need to just see that when there's a theatrical release, it gets a little time before it comes to OTT. But otherwise, yes, I think it's a very democratic medium where you will see a superstar also, where you will see a good actor, where you will see a newcomer all on the same platform, and you just choose who you want to see that time. And I think that's amazing. There's so much work for technicians, for actors, for everyone. Earlier it used to be if you're a TV star, then you can't be in movies. If you're in movies, you can't be in TV. But now with OTTs, you can come in that piddly little role, and maybe I was sitting for a casting thing with a film I was doing, and this director said, I'm thinking of that guy for the lead role who did that little role in that other film. I said, is that okay now? He says, yeah, that's totally fine. He's a good actor. So that's so amazing to see the psyche change. And yes, we are changing as an audience, and I think I need to thank the audience for it, for changing, for not expecting the typical things from us, for letting us experiment, for just relating to the characters now. I think all the characters that are coming now are more relatable than, of course, you have those few larger than life films, but more often than not, the characters that you see are people who are very relatable.
Even a small film like Thai Massage is doing very well on OTT, isn't it?
Please see my film, Nazar Andaz, if you've not seen on Netflix.
Not yet.
Please watch.
Please talk about that.
Any questions anyone wants to ask? Because this is the first time I'm meeting this audience, 2-3 maybe, if we have the time.
Yes, we do have time.
So Nazar Andaz that you asked me about is a beautiful film. Again, see, this is not a proposal making thingy. It was a beautiful story about 3 people. One is a blind man and 2 are people who want to use him, and how life just turns around. I'm one of the users and not feeling bad about it. So, see, I've changed as an actor. But it's such a beautiful film that you feel lovely when you hear people say, we saw that, we liked it, and it was trending on the platform. So it feels great. It really feels nice.